The best gift of all. Feeling like the parent of a newborn. Can we go big in Texas? Coin tosses and the NFL Pony Show. It's all next on Tip Off. Boom, 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 boom. Karma's a bee. Boom, 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 boom. Mark Jackson, can you really sleep at night? Boom, 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 boom. The Warriors are perennial losers and showed why. Boom, 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 boom. That was tragic. Boom, 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 boom. Heads. Hello. Good morning. It's back. That's a signature. It's not going anywhere. Don't waste your time in sending me, I hate that. You hate that. You hate that. How's everybody this morning? I feel like I'm the parent of a newborn this morning. But I do have my poor 9-year-old son had his braces tightened yesterday, so he can't sleep because it hurts. Then at like 5:40, he wakes up with just a colossal bloody nose. Then I'm trying to go back to sleep, and my dog has some barking fit. My dogs are so. One of my dogs is well, dog years is like times 13. So one is like 104 and the other's like 90. I mean, and so the barking, freaking out. You're thinking someone's breaking in or something's wrong. So you go downstairs. It's just an illusion. I mean, this dog's senile. And then, of course, my wife's got allergies, and I wouldn't say she was snoring, but you're at that point where like you're trying to fall back to sleep for that extra 15 minutes, not a prayer. So anyway, totally feel like the parent of a newborn right now. And certainly sure why we don't aren't doing this again. Hope you guys are good. Really, this is the greatest gift as a sports fan that we could have woken up today and had nothing. Every day from here is a bonus. We could have been, I guess, talking about the 13th pick of the NBA draft, and if we were absurd, like my good friend Kevin Graham, would think that's better for the franchise. Oh, I adore him. He and I go back a long way, but sometimes he gets his opinions and forgets that facts actually should form opinions. And if you're listening this morning, I was hoping you were listening because it's pissing you off. I'm taking a shot at you right now, Kevin, in a YouTube video where you can't really reply. And by the way, about our back and forth yesterday on Twitter, everything I had was fact based. Everything you had was opinion based. And then you had the absurdity at the end to drop, well, that's just subjective. No, your whole concept that we're going to get swept and that we're better off in the lottery is subjective. My things are fact. 50% of all picks after 11 in the draft don't develop. Only 8% of picks 11 through 15 in an NBA 8% 11 through 15 become starters. And if you look at it, the teams that have played as up and coming teams have played as eighth playoff spots all get better. Those are facts. It's just a sad thing when you manipulate the young minds of people with falsehoods, Kevin. Kevin. You should go into politics because that's generally what everybody does. They just say things that aren't true and make you believe them. All right. See, I'm tired. By the way, there's a jazz. This is bad. There's a jazz web forum or what are those things called? Like comment rooms? Like I don't know what it's. You know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know what they're message boards. Not surprisingly, when you follow a Hall of Famer in a job and have a very different style than that Hall of Famer, and you certainly aren't in the ilk of Hall of Famers, you're much more out of the fan in the booth, you don't read comment boards. So I haven't read a message board in 3 years that involves the Utah Jazz. So I don't know the site, but I got sent, and if anybody actually knows this, somebody sent me a link the other day. Somebody had done the work. About what the eighth playoff seed does the next year. I could redo this, but it was terrifically well done. So whoever, if that person is out there and doing this, and wanted to either just send it to me as an email, I'll post it on Locked On Jazz and I'll give you credit. I don't need the credit. I mean, I could do the work, but I got a lot of other things I could do in the next week that would be a lot better. So feel free if you have that. It was great work, and I don't need to do it. We lot of content coming. Gordy Chiesa podcast preview, Super Playoff podcast coming. Sam Amick, Sports Illustrated, is going to do my national stuff. Gordy's going to do some national stuff with us. We'll predominantly West, but we'll touch some East. Those both could be lengthy. And then I thought it would be better off, considering the fact that today's a Friday, to wait. And then we play, the schedule's out. We play Sunday. We don't play again until Wednesday. And if I can get myself away from Locke and Terra, my favorite golf course in the country happens to be, other than maybe something in Hawaii, so in the continental United States, is in San Antonio. So I will be taking some breaks along the way of work to go get out there. Because I just truly adore Locke and Terra. I think it's my most. It's just I love it. Up in the hill country, San Antonio. That is to me what golf's all about. So I'll take a break at some point. I'm not going to hide about that. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of work done. Huge amount of content coming out. Just keep checking Locked On Jazz. We are UtahJazz.com/LockedOnJazz. I did something cool yesterday I wanted to share. This is getting long. I got to get into the teeth of it. But I just wanted to share this for a second, and it's somewhat of an apology. Empty the Noggin was really brief yesterday, but for the first time ever, my kids, my 9 and my 7-year-old, have actually gotten into the season and cared about it. And my wife was a sports reporter also, so we actually not to get into too many details, but we really downplay it in the house. It's not viewed as very important. Just because I think they have to live their whole lives around sports. We could really lose focus. But for the first time ever, I took my daughter last night after the game down to meet the players. My kids have never met the players or had any interaction with them. My son, unfortunately, because of his braces, was in such pain, he went home. And so my daughter, she actually sat behind me for the entire fourth quarter last night. And she's a little aspiring play-by-play announcer as a 7-year-old. So she got to meet the players. It was cool. We got pictures with Faves, and Jeremy picked her up, and Gordon was cool, and Al Jefferson was so nice, and Tyrone's the best, and it was just neat. So I thought I'd share that I definitely fanned out yesterday. First time ever doing that. Hopefully my daughter thinks that was cool because she loses her dad for much of the year for that. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The Warriors lost last night. They're very good at this. It's just, it's shameful. I mean, they're not even playing. Like, okay, David Lee and Steph Curry are actually having surgery. Like, okay, I'll give you credit. Like, we mocked you for those, and those are actually true. But Klay Thompson could have played. They didn't call timeouts. They didn't call plays. It's just a joke. So here's how it works. There's a coin toss today, which is at noon, or a drawing, I guess is what they're calling. I got a text from the Warriors PR guy. It's a drawing. If the Warriors win something try to win something here for the first time in 2 months, they will win and go to 7, and then our only chance is about a 10% chance that somebody behind the Warriors jumps up and pushes the pick back to 8 in the lottery. So we're not done today. It just gets very difficult. However, if Toronto wins the coin flip and the Warriors go to 8, then there is about I'll have to see if I can find the exact number. Then there's about a 10% chance, 12% chance that the pick goes. So there's if they win the coin flop, the Jazz still have a 28% chance of getting that pick because it means there's a 28% chance on lottery day it slides down. Today, if we win the coin flip, then we still have a 12% chance of losing the pick. It comes out that actually the odds are on our favor in this process. I think the way I did the math, and I'm not guaranteeing about 57%. And frankly, I'm dying for a pick because I love the draft and breaking down the draft and the idea of not having any picks to break down the draft. I'll probably still do all the draft work because I love it. But you guys won't be nearly as interested about players you'll never see. You only see as fans. So let's hope we get it. All right, playoff series. Let's talk about it a little bit. Spurs are great. I saw that Shaq picked them to sweep and I've got a few tweets of people upset. Guys, picking them to sweep us is a very reasonable pick. Not in any way at all a statement about us. They're great. Chicago has the best efficiency differential in the NBA. San Antonio has the second best. They had the second best season in the NBA, and their offense is out of this world. Their effective field goal percentage is nearly 53%. It's 52.9. The next best in the NBA is 51.6. Let me see if I can put this in perspective. They're at 52.9. There's only two teams in the NBA that are 2 percentage points within. There's only two teams that are better than 50.9. There's only 7 teams that are within 3 percentage points of their effective field goal percentage. They're not only the best offensive team in the NBA, they're a world better than everyone else. Okay? I mean, the median team in the league is, the average in the league is 48.7. These guys are 52.9. I mean, it's not even, it's stunning how good they are offensively. So that's going to be our challenge. Is there any way you can break them offensively? And they're the fourth best team in the league at taking care of the ball. They're the number one shooting team in the league. The only thought I have on how you can break them offensively is try to get them with different personnel on the floor. And the only way to do that is the idea of, can we go big in Texas? I've played around with this a lot yesterday, with obviously a little bit more focus on that than the game at hand. But so the Spurs primarily want to have a combination of a few different lineups on the floor. Their basic lineups they want to have is Parker, Ginobili, Duncan are the three, and then they play around with their 4 and their 5, with their 3 and their 4s. Their best lineups. They do other things. Frankly, they have other lineups that are very, very good. But their best lineups will have a Danny Green on the floor because he's such a good shooter. And some of their best lineups actually don't include Manu. And we'll also have, or Gary Neal. I mean, they love it if they can get Parker, Gary Neal, Danny Green on the floor in some combination. Even then, without Manu, with Bonner and Duncan, they just spread the floor. Parker penetrates. They got 3 shooters, and they go to work. And you're dead because they move the ball. They're so detailed with their splits and their spots on the floor that they move the ball without looking. And so you're dead. Now, they love splitters good, but if the Jazz go big, can you at all discombobulate this? And that's going to be the question of the series. If I was Ty, I wouldn't have done most of the things he's done this year, and he's done them all better than I would have. But I would suggest you throw that big lineup early and see if you can blow them up a little bit. One of their best lineups recently has been Parker with Ginobili, Danny Green, who is just a fabulous three-point shooter. He's shooting over 50% for the last month. Duncan, and then Boris Diaw. Well, I'm not sure they can do that if Millsap is the 3 out on the floor. You might be able to force them to go to Steven Jackson or Kawhi Leonard as their 3, playing Diaw Duncan, Splitter Duncan, some combination, Dwan Blair Duncan. And now, if Parker, who's not a great outside shooter, is on the floor with Ginobili, they don't really have any shooters all of a sudden. So now you've broken them out of their fast spread game that they want to play. And that, to me, I think is what you have to try to do in this series. There's no way that we can play with them straight up. And their offense is just out of this world right now. They are just – the numbers are crazy. The league average is 101 points per 100 possessions. These guys are putting up 125s per game, 115s, 131s, 130, 118, 115, 107. They've had 2 games this month where they were below the league average. One of them was against us where they didn't play anyone, and the next one out was against the Lakers. I mean, they are just not stymied. So my only thought is if you can go big and play most of the night big and see if you can play it well enough that you dictate it and force them out of their spread. Now, at some point they're going to go Duncan, Bonner, Steven Jackson, Manu, and Parker, and they're spreading, or they're going to try to play Manu on Millsap. But now you've got them a little off their game. They're not brilliant defensively. They're good. They're the 11th best team in the NBA defensively. They're far better than we are, but they're not brilliant. And maybe you can discombobulate them. Frankly, though, to their credit, they have just such a fabulous roster that as I try to piece this together, there's so many things they can do, and so many lineups that have been good for them. And with Manu on the floor, they're just unstoppable. I mean, really, so if they go Duncan, Splitter, Kawhi Leonard, they don't have the shooters, but they really, frankly, can match to us. If they go Duncan, Bonner, Leonard, Ginobili, Parker, Bonner suddenly has Derek Favors running all over the floor. If they go Parker, Ginobili, Steven Jackson, Bonner, Splitter, they all have, and they have us suddenly posting up Derek Favors, which we're not great at. So there aren't a lot of answers here, but that's I think the approach you have to take. Some interesting thoughts, a thought or two on the NFL draft, if I may. Uh, you know, I think that there's some misnomers that are out there. And one of the things that I would say that's a misnomer is draft position and where a player is taken. Oh, he couldn't have taken him there. Or, oh, he could have slipped. It doesn't really matter what position and number you take a player and the whole idea, oh, he could have traded back. What you're really trying to do is get a player who compensates for an area where you weren't good. I mean, you're trying to draft a player that's better than the player on your roster. It's really that simple. So like everyone says, oh, Tannehill. Is Tannehill better than who Miami has on their roster? Is Claiborne better than who the Cowboys had on their roster? The Niners took Jenkins. I think it's a great pick, only because I'm certain he's better than who they have on their roster. And that's what you're really doing in the NFL draft. And too much of the NFL draft analysis is being done inside the bubble of the NFL draft of whether that pick was good for the draft and whether he should have gone there or whether you could have traded down or whether this or that. No. You are compensating for poor play on your roster. Does the player play better than anyone on your roster? That's the essence of a draft. Will he get time? Will he fit it? That's what this is about. The other one, I just think, the two other things I think are interesting, and maybe this is unfair, but Belichick just gets a pass. No matter what Belichick does, oh, well, Belichick. I don't feel like they've been developing a lot of talent in early rounds of the NFL draft. What Belichick does well is takes players like the Danny Woodhead and the Wes Welkers and defensive guys and finds positions for them that fit inside of his system, and he gets something out of them. But unless I'm mistaken, I look through the NFL draft over the years, he has not been particularly good in the early rounds. In fact, he's reached way too often and missed. So I suddenly wonder why he gets this pass. And the other one is the Cowboys took the cornerback Claiborne. It's just interesting to me how the league changes. It was only a few years ago that all the talk was, wow, cornerbacks really don't want cornerbacks. Because you just play so much zone and so many other, you don't need a shutdown corner. Well, now we seem to be moving toward the era of you got to have a pass rush, and to be able to have a pass rush, you got to have corners that can guard one-on-one so you can bring the pass rush. I would say the Eagles have the best corners in the NFL, though they just traded Asante Samuel, and I'm not sure that really worked for them. So I actually am not sure I believe in the value of the corner. And then the final thought was the drafting of Trent Richardson by Cleveland. He compensates for poor play. If you cannot do something on your current roster and you draft a player who can do that, that's a good pick. Right? Okay. Enjoy the gift. Enjoy the extended season. That is tip-off for today. Go Karma. Go Karma. Go Karma.